Good evening from beautiful, festive Sacramento, California, wherever you are. Welcome in. Kings looking to get back on the horse tonight against the Phoenix Suns. Tough game last game against Boston. We want to get your thoughts on it. I know Grant and I hit it on the post-game show after the game, and a lot of just interesting thoughts from Kings fans and a lot of input nationally about where this team stands right now. And, what are they? What are the Kings? Tonight, I think, is a big step in finding out this team's character, finding out who they are. They got beaten by a team that was just on a tier above them, a cut above. How do they respond to another really solid team whose record doesn't show it in a struggling team in the Phoenix Suns? So, Kings Suns tonight. Who's in? Who's out? Is Bradley Beal going to be playing for the Suns? Durant on the floor? Malik Monk? We'll see. We'll get to that and much more here on the pregame show on If You Don't Like That.
2, 1, go.
Sacramento miscue. Carter, stolen by Williams. And look at this. Oh, you don't like that. You don't like NBA basketball. Fox, goodbye. Oh, if you don't like that, you don't like NBA basketball. The exclamation point from De'Aaron Fox. Oh, if you don't like that, you don't like NBA basketball.
Boy, that's an ESPN highlight right there. Whoa. Carlson comes in. How about this? Holy moly, Jim Bob Foley. That is a major league smush.
Welcome into the party, everybody. Here on If You Don't Like That, I'm Ryan in Sacktown. Happy to have you with me. Grant and Jerry Reynolds will be here at halftime. Looking forward to that as always. And Grant and I will wrap up the night here on If You Don't Like That, hopefully talking about the beam being lit in a Kings victory. But much to get to. Suns coming into town to face this Sacramento team. Kings coming off, as many of you said, a tough loss. Time to move on against the Celtics. I've got some interesting numbers that we'll get to, and I want to get everybody's take on those as well tonight. But in the meantime, let's talk about the game a little bit. And what should we expect from this Kings team and this Suns team rolling into Sacramento? Well, the Suns, what to expect? We really don't know what to expect. Kings have won the last 3 meetings against this Phoenix team. However, this Phoenix team has never had Kevin Durant in uniform since he became a Sun. Play against the Kings. So that tonight is going to be an interesting dynamic because Kevin Durant, we saw the problems Porzingis caused the last game for the Kings. So what's that mean for Durant? And hey, it's a good experience for Keegan Murray. This is going to be a game where you need the young man to show his worth defensively, and he's done a great job of that so far this season. Not getting as much credit for the fact that he has been guarding some of the opponent's best players all season long. So yes, you will have Durant, you will have Booker. There will be no Nurkic for the Suns. Interesting. Obviously, he is the one that took the punch from Draymond. That is not why he is out of the game, but he will not play for the Suns tonight. Okogie will not play either. So for the Kings, let's talk. Who's in? Malik Monk available. JaVale McGee available for the Kings. Both were questionable at one point today. So the Kings pretty much have a full roster. Alex Len still recovering from the ankle injury. And the Kings coming off of the loss on 1 day rest. In fact, the Kings have played some of their best basketball to date on this young season on a day's rest. And that's actually one of the numbers that I want to start out with you guys. So check this out here. Actually, wrong graph for you. Check it out right here. Real interesting with the Kings and their rest periods. They play best on 1 day's rest. As you can see right there, the Kings this season on 1 day's rest, not too bad with the stats. Actually, I owe you one more graph here. There we go. That's what I am looking for. So Look at that. Kings 10-5, and obviously 15 games early season. That's the most out of any category here, but 10-5 on 1 day's rest. So that should be good for this team tonight. But you look at some of their field goal numbers and how they jump up and how they drop from there. So 48.2% field goal percentage for the Kings on a day rest. Hopefully that will come into play and the numbers will prove out for the Kings tonight there. Thought that was an interesting one. So let me know your thoughts on that. But in the meantime, we got to get to the chat. We've got to get to you. You are as big a part of this show as anything. Again, King Suns coming up. Jerry Reynolds, Grant Napier right here at halftime. And then we will have the post-game show, Grant and I, to wrap things up after the game tonight. Never miss a comment. Yes, indeed. I try to get to all of them. And wishing the best to all of you guys. Hello. Happy holidays, if I did not say so already. Hope everybody is all ready for the holiday. Grant had a 5 o'clock show today, and a few of you were trying to bait him into the Christmas rant. Seen that coming for about a week or so. Maybe you can get him sometime in the next night or two. Now, we talk about this 3-game stretch. So Sacramento lost the first of these 3 games to Boston. An ugly loss. Second half, just you can't give up that many points, regardless of Tatum being in or out of the lineup. And you point to the game before that, the Wizards. The Kings gave up over 130 points to the Wizards. What do you think they're going to do to the Celtics, or what the Celtics are going to do to the Kings? That's what happens. So we'll see. It's a new night. I think the Kings, as long as defensively they are a little bit more physical than they were against the Celtics, they'll be all right tonight. And we'll talk more about Phoenix here in a minute. But again, want to get to your comments. Best to all the fallout in one game. Yes, indeed. Hopefully they get back to business tonight. That is what we are hoping for. Sorry, guys. My comments are loading a little bit small, so bear with me. So good news is losing by 40 only counts for 1 loss. I do like that as well. Carl, what is up, my friend? Welcome to the show. Advanced Merry Christmas to you as well. It's a long weekend. Let's see. Christmas, yes, obviously. Here in Manila, weather is 82.4 degrees. Nice. Well, greetings to you in the Philippines. Appreciate you checking in as always. We'll do our check-in later tonight as well. Let's see. Willard getting in on the action. My problem is why when we lose so badly. So Willard, interesting. You bring that up. So we talk about the Kings being wildly inconsistent at many times this year. And Willard brought up the exact point that I wanted to try to make to you guys tonight. So I'm going to throw up another chart here for you. And what it will hopefully show you, and again, system's running a little slow. That is exactly not the one I wanted. This is what we are looking for. So check this out. This is a split breakdown of the Kings statistics broken down by months, home, road, wins, losses. I want to direct you right there to wins, losses. Look at the points, guys. When the Kings win, they're scoring 125.9 points a game. 125.9 points a game. When the Kings lose, they are scoring 105.8 points a game. That is a 20-point swing. More than that, check this one out if that doesn't do enough for you. Look at the plus minus in that far column. And wins, the Kings are winning by 10.1 points. Look at that. Losses, 16.2 points. They're plus minus 16.2 in a 48-minute period. So Willard, it's a perfect point that you illustrate there about the dramatic swings of this team. And I think what the dramatic swings just tell us is this team is not a complete basketball team. This team still it needs some pieces, which is fine. I mean, think about the expectations that have been put on this team and how that goalpost moved from last year to this year. And it's moved significantly. Last year, it's like, hey, we just want to make the playoffs. Haven't made the playoffs in 16 years. This year, it's like, we want to win a playoff series. We think we can challenge for a title. Totally fine. Absolutely. But you can't do it with numbers like that. You can't. And it's scary because the numbers can be really good and they can be really bad. So that tells me, screams to me, this team needs another piece. Now, whether that's a significant piece, whether that is a couple of small pieces, maybe that's in the off season, who knows? So I wanted to point those out, get your takes on it, and also the coaching. I know somebody will probably bring that up. Mike Brown, is the coaching staff immune from this as well? Is this something where the Kings coaching staff, now granted, Rainey coaching staff of the year, unanimous head coach of the year, are they not adjusting the same way they were adjusting last year? That's another conversation that has been going around here in Sacramento. So all things that are fair tonight to talk about before this game. A lot to talk about, but why not? Let's do it. You're here on the pregame show. I'm Ryan in Sacktown. We're going to get to more of your comments here in a second. Dash, thank you so much, my friend. Really appreciate the super chat. Live and die by the 3. That's what the deal, or that's what that stat is. It is indeed. And Gil, so that's kind of what the concerning thing is, right, Gil? Because the Kings shot nearly 50% from beyond the arc against Boston, and they were still blown out significantly. So what it also says is the Kings can really only win games one way, right? So, and that's the 3-pointer. Doesn't mean that they can't make some changes. It just means that those changes need to be made. They can make them. So, anyways, appreciate the super chat, guys. Let's get to some more. Yeah, and this is a good point, V. The Celtics were on a different planet indeed the other night. So, well done by you. Dash checks back in this game, decides if we are making major trades or not. No, it does not, Dash. I disagree wholeheartedly. I think that decision changes on a daily basis because who's available likely changes on a daily basis. So I think that this homestand may certainly have something. This homestand could be that stamp either way. And I think if you're going to look at that stamp, it leans more towards the stamp of this team needs to make a move, which, guys, no reason to panic. Zero reason to panic whatsoever. That's why Monty McNair put in the leniencies and the flexibility that he has with the personnel and the contracts on hand. So the Kings have a lot of wiggle room to maneuver, but it starts tonight, getting back on track with obviously the Phoenix Suns coming to town. Frog, what is up, Ryan? One of the Kings' most frustrating facets of the game is free throws. It is. So, Frog, are you going to argue it's both the amount of free throws and the free throw percentage, or one or the other? Because I think it's both of them. I think they were 23 free throws against Boston, but they shot right around 50%. So Frog's spot on, and that's been a number where we've seen the Kings hover all season. And, the other thing we look at with this Kings team, and, you can't discount the other teams that are coming into the G1C and playing them tough because of how the 3-ball affects the game across the league. So that's going to be any team that rolls in here. Phoenix especially. Phoenix, they don't do much well. One thing they do well, that's getting to the free throw line. And the reason that they do that is because they've got some great players that can play different ways in Devin Booker and Kevin Durant. I mean, I don't need to say anything about Durant. You guys know how special he is, future Hall of Famer, NBA champion, etc. But he can play up tempo. He can get shots in the isolation. He can do it all. That's why he's Kevin Durant. That's why he's one of the 5 or 6 best in the world at doing what he does right now in the game of basketball. And then you've got Devin Booker, who is just a very difficult guard because of his ability to shoot the 3-ball and his ability to get to the rim. And we know some of, if not one of the biggest weaknesses for this Kings team is the defense, and the defense that is on ball on the perimeter. It starts there. It's really tough to ask Domantas Sabonis that defensively, although he is physical, is undersized for the 5 position, and many times playing behind behind the offensive player, meaning if the Kings are not guarding on the perimeter, that is going to cause a much bigger problem for Domas because it puts him in a bigger hole and it forces him to make a decision whether he's going to step up and depend on a teammate to come down and help late. So anyways, Kings Suns tonight, getting ready to kick off here at Golden One Center, right in the middle of a big homestand for Sacramento. This is the 4th game on the homestand. 2 more to go after tonight. You will have Minnesota rolling into town tomorrow. Actually, no, 1 more to go after tonight. Excuse me. Minnesota rolling into town tomorrow for the back-to-back. Both teams will be on a back-to-back, but Minnesota, how about them? Tied with the Celtics for, as of the other night, best record in the league. So we will see how things shake out at the G1C, but I think the Kings are going to make it interesting either way you cut it, and the Kings have to come away with a competitive game and a split here. What's up, Benjamin? We are a young building team. Let's play this season out again, make the playoffs, and try to court a star to come play. The problem, Benjamin, is it's easier now. It's much easier now. You are right about getting a star to come to Sacramento because there's a culture that has been laid for the Kings right now with Mike Brown, with Monty McNair, etc. The other thing is they're on the verge, right? I've been saying it for a year. I think the Kings are an Aaron Gordon away. They are their Aaron Gordon away. If you look at how important and how patient the Denver Nuggets were in waiting for that right player for their system. And don't get me wrong, there's not always going to be a perfect player for your system, but the best player available that fits the best into your system. And that was Aaron Gordon. And what did it do for Denver? Over a longer period of time, because they built from within, it won them an NBA championship. Now, so could the Kings court a free agent? Yes. Could they court a big free agent? I don't think so. They would have to overpay. And that's going to be an issue with an owner who, in Vivek, I'm not taking a shot at the guy, but and I shouldn't say but, excuse me there. Vivek, no, the Kings hover around 17th, 18th, 19th, right in that tier in terms of payroll annually. So he would have to dig into his pockets and probably go into the luxury tax under the assumption Keegan Murray is also a very important piece to what the Kings want to do long term, because Keegan's going to have to get paid too. De'Aaron, if he makes first team All-NBA this year, he is available for a Supermax contract. So a lot of things on the Kings plate. So that's why I think I lean more towards trade. I think trade is where it's going to happen, but it could happen. Good job by you, Benjamin. What's up, MTDG? Can somebody explain why JaVale McGee is a better fit than Dwight Howard? Dwight, way more athletic than JaVale. Just a better player overall still in 2023-24. I don't know if I agree with he's a better player. If he was a better player, he wouldn't have to be calling around to NBA teams. Dwight, it depends on the system, MTDG. Now, I'm not talking about James Harden, who says he is the system. It truly does depend on the system, and I don't think his style of basketball is conducive to what the Kings do now. JaVale McGee, now, if you put them on the floor next to each other, one-on-one, I'm with you. Better athlete. I think Dwight Howard wins that game probably 7 times out of 10. But if you give them each 5 minutes with the Kings starting lineup, I think you're going to see better production from JaVale McGee strictly from a spacing standpoint. JaVale is a risk at the rim, and I'm not saying Dwight Howard isn't. JaVale is more of a risk for the lob. He catches lobs. Many guys do not, strictly because of his length. So Dwight, he's more of your post-up guy. He wants to be down low, and JaVale is to a degree. He completely is. But JaVale can play a little bit more spacing and from the perimeter, and he can attack the rim there a little bit better than I think Dwight could. So I don't know. I don't see it, but I think it's a fair argument. Good point by you. Paul, good for you, man. Excellent. I hope you have a great time. Hope you have some good seats. I actually have family at the game tonight, so I hope they have a great time. You enjoy that tomorrow night, Paul. Hopefully you bring the Kings a win and get the rest of the guys out of G1C and gals ready to go. Wolves are a tough matchup for the Kings. Guys, if we listed the Western Conference right now, think about it. List the teams in the Western Conference, or at least in playoff contention right now. We've got Minnesota, Denver. We could go down the entire list, but what I'm saying is you're going to have more bad matchups for the Kings on that list than good matchups for the Kings, because some of those teams that we said were good matchups for the Kings, like the LA Clippers, they're playing good basketball right now. And is the makeup of the roster that much different? It is not, but guys are playing. Now, the $1 million question becomes, can they stay healthy? And that's to be seen. We don't have crystal balls, but that's why, again, I think that's why the Kings have to make a move. And again, not a big move, but they need to make a move. They can't stay stag at this point. Ed, what's up, man? Fox loves to miss that first free throw and then make the second. He does. You're right. And you know who else needs to, well, the team overall needs to improve from the free throw line, but don't leave Domas Sabonis out of there. He is hovering right around that. I think going into last game, he was right around 53% from the free throw line. So that's not going to cut it. And if you tell me if I'm wrong, you can debate me, and I am happy to take this debate on. Sabonis isn't an all-star this year. He's not. All-stars don't shoot that from the free throw line. And yes, you're going to say, well, he almost has a triple-double. Seems like every night he's Mr. Double-double. He is. But there's a lot of guys in the NBA that are Mr. Double-double that don't do those extra things, or the things that are check marks already. You think of an all-star, unless you're Shaquille O'Neal, somebody else, they shoot free throws well, right? Create their own shot, can win the game for you. Now, Sabonis can do about 1.5 out of 3 of those. So, yeah, I'm with you on him and Sabonis. I mean, and it just goes downfield from there. And the other thing, guys, technical fouls. Come on. What are we doing? Keon Ellis. Keon, with all due respect, you are Keon Ellis. Hear me? You are Keon Ellis. Don't forget that. You are an amazing basketball player. You are in the top 1% of basketball players in this world, Keon. But you are not De'Aaron Fox, okay? And the chirping needs to stop. And Foxy, some of that's on you too, man. You've been talking a lot as well. So you got to set that example for the young guys, and coaching staff. Pick up your players. If there's too much talking and you are supporting their talking, that means you feel the calls aren't good. So you need to lobby on their behalf more vigorously so that doesn't happen as much. So sorry, got to hit you guys with some truth. That's how we do it here on If You Don't Like That. Yeah, Keon does need to take a chill pill. I agree. 100%. Team free throws should be about 75%. Yeah, should be, I would say minimum, Paul, 75%. 100%. Not ever going to happen really for an NBA team realistically in an 82-game season. But if you're going to be a top 2-3 team in the West, you got to be above. You got to be a B or better from free throws. You absolutely have to be. Would JaVale be playing if Len were healthy? I do not think he would, Adam. No. Good question. He was getting Alex Len all of those minutes, or most of those minutes, as the backup center when Mike Brown went big until his injury. So those will likely go back to Alex Len once he returns. Lacoste, Kings' lack of free throws is not on the refs. It's due to their style of play. Yes and no. Yes and no. The Kings are offensive. Their offensive rebounding has been much better this year. So they are getting second opportunities at the rim off of those long rebounds from missed three-pointers. So I don't think shooting the three as much as they do affects it like that. Now, it does affect it, like I said, but not to that degree. This team also, if you're running, that means you're beating teams down the court, meaning they're catching up, they're fouling from behind, intentionally fouling at times to get the refs to blow the whistle so they can make substitutions, so they can get a quick breath. And we just haven't seen that frenetic pace from this Kings team yet this year. Let's see. Paul, Adam, Carson. I would use both to save Domas from a technical foul. There you go. Baki, what's up, buddy? Dobro Utro, my friend. Thank you for checking in. Kings Suns getting ready to get started here from the Golden One Center. I shouldn't say here. I'm not a Golden One, but at the Golden One Center here in just a few minutes. Suns in town. Kings have won the last 3 meetings against this Phoenix team. However, none of those have been with Kevin Durant. He is in the lineup tonight for the Suns, as well as Devin Booker. He will be playing for the Suns. Yusuf Nurkic, he is not going to be playing for Phoenix. And then also for Phoenix, they've got a couple other guys, rotational players that have been out that will not be suiting up. So that's the lay of the land for Phoenix. Malik Monk in for Sacramento, as well as JaVale McGee. Both those guys available for Mike Brown. And look for Mike Brown to have a quick trigger tonight. I feel like Mike Brown is going to be more diligent on these substitutions if he's not liking what he sees. Kings 3.5-point favorites tonight. Again, Phoenix coming off of a loss to Portland. Both teams on 1-day rest. Get a lay of the land here for a second, just to give you an idea about how these two teams match up. Kings averaging 118.2 points per game. Phoenix 114.9. That is 15th in the NBA. Points against per game. Phoenix allowing 113.8. Sacramento 118.2. So how's that for a stat, guys? The Kings are allowing as many points as they are scoring. Think about that. So that's one of those things where the Kings have to be better. We've talked about free throws. Assists per game. Kings still really well. 5th in the NBA at 28.5 per game. And turnovers have been very manageable for the Kings as well. So you look at the numbers across the board, the Kings should and do have the advantage on paper in this game, but some funky matchups for Sacramento. Who will they use to guard Kevin Durant? Expect a decent amount of Keegan Murray and probably some Harrison Barnes as well. Maybe a little Trey Lyles, and heck, maybe a little JaVale McGee if they need to shake things up and put some length on Kevin Durant. And the matchup of Devin Booker and De'Aaron Fox should be very interesting, both Kentucky guys. Certainly you'll see the teams tonight trying to target certain matchups they like. So we'll see if they end up on each other one-on-one at any point. Yeah, they can, MT. Can't be perimeter-oriented team and can't complain about the refs. Over 2 decades of blaming refs has got to stop at some point. I don't disagree with you about the constant complaining, okay? But you can be a perimeter team. Most teams in the NBA are perimeter teams, and they still shoot more free throws than the Kings. Complaining about the refs, you can complain about the refs if you want. If they're not calling a good game, you have avenues to do something about that, whether that's through your coach, whether that's through yourself, which we're saying there is a little bit too much of. So when you say you got to stop blaming the refs, I get it if we're talking about 20 years ago, but now I just think it needs to be done differently. And I think this team, to me, this team is not good enough to be chirping the way they are. Now, if you want to make the argument too, MT, that you need to get more physical, regardless of whether you're a perimeter team, before you start, making noise about calls, then that's a different conversation. But we'll see. Yes. Nurkic is out tonight. He has given the Kings big problems in the past. So we will see how that helps for the Kings tonight. Should help considerably because in the Kings' first meeting against the Suns, which was a victory in Phoenix, which did not include Durant. As I said, first time the Kings will be facing Durant tonight. He did give the Kings problems, and it's the length again. And it's because Sabonis is undermanned defensively against many of these big guys in the West, which again reinforces why this Kings team literally needs to look and decide what's going to happen here in the next few weeks leading up to the trade deadline. Dude, I'm hearing you, but we also didn't play against KD. I know. That's why I said that. You have never played against KD in a Phoenix uniform. So that'll be interesting. MTDG has to get the last word, which I'm fine with. Can't just be Fox. No, it cannot. No, it cannot. And that opens another can of worms because De'Aaron then, by default, is your only person that can get to the rim. Your only Malik Monk can to a degree, but not like De'Aaron. De'Aaron is your only player that can create space and attack. That's not going to work in an up-tempo offense. You need more. So that's why the Kings need a backup point guard who is a veteran and can get to the rim, play defense, run that second unit as needed. So, all right, guys, Kings, Suns, getting ready to tip off. Jerry Reynolds, Grant Napier, right here at halftime. Please come back and please don't forget, give us a thumbs up if you haven't already, and please subscribe. We would appreciate that as well. This has been the pregame show. We can't wait to see you at halftime. Hoping we have some good stuff to talk about and a first half that is much different than that of the first half against Boston Celtics last game. And here we go, guys. Kings need to bounce back. This is what this is. This is a bounce back game. Look for the effort. First 5 minutes should tell us everything we need to know in terms of the eyeball test and whether this is going to be a long night and a frustrating night. I think it won't. I think the Kings will bounce back nicely, but time will tell. Again, join us back at halftime. Jerry Reynolds, the one and only, right here on If You Don't Like That. I appreciate you all being here. Happy holidays. See you at halftime.